So, recording videos for Vinland Saga has always been a difficult job because the show, I said this on Twitter, the show has this tendency to sort of leave me awestruck and totally speechless after watching it, which is, not a great thing when your channel's called JoJo Talks Too Much. But I feel like every episode of Vinland Saga just continuously leaves me in just total silence, especially lately. It's interesting to see a show that almost consistently outdoes itself. There's been little falls here and there, but the show has only gotten better and better and better and better. And I actually just wanted to open this video on less of a hey guys, and more of just a honest holy shit, this show consistently leaves me speechless. And I really just wanted to take a minute before we get into the usual stuff to acknowledge that, because hot damn. Anyway, today we are here to talk about episode 22, The Lone Wolf. But before we get into things proper, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter, namely at Foxton2X and at Faye0011. And hey, if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Vinland Saga video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so I would really appreciate it if the show didn't open with the death of Best Boy. Why? Why do you have to remind me that happened? You don't need to remind me. It's still in my head consistently since I saw it. It's been on a loop in my head. Just your husbando died and there was nothing that you could do about it. He was gonna die regardless. He's dead. He's super dead. I get it, show. You don't have to remind me that Bjorn is gone. Again, it's just been looping and looping and looping. And it's difficult to turn off watching your husbando die in front of you. It's not very pleasant, and I don't need the show to remind me about it. And I have a feeling the whole Bjorn death thing is probably gonna leak over into next week as well, since Bjorn's last words was "send me off." So I almost wonder if we're gonna get a Viking funeral for him. I kind of would love to see that, actually, but I have a feeling it's only gonna continue into next week because of that. So, oh great, let's just prolong my husbando's death. That's fine, show. Thanks for that. Makoto Yukimura, you horrible, horrible, beautiful man, you. Making me feel the feelings. I need a sip of tea to deal with these feelings. So the episode's title, Lone Wolf. I was thinking when I clicked on the episode that this would be about Thorfinn. I thought that this whole episode was going to be specifically about Thorfinn, and boy was I ever wrong. It is definitely not about Thorfinn, but the Lone Wolf title was not useless, as it's a perfect example of ASKELADD in a nutshell, or Ashlad like I've been saying. I would also like to point out too that his name comes from the fact that he was covered in ash growing up. So it's fucking Ashlad. I don't care how you pronounce characters' names, so don't come at me with how I pronounce characters' names. It is the least interesting comment you could leave. Sorry, I guess that was building for several episodes. We've always known Ashlad to be a interesting cat. Ashlad's got a lot going on up in the old noodle. But this episode, we really get to peer behind the curtain and really understand him as a character. And I think it's funny that this once again stems from another one of these pointless-ass duels that Thorfinn is insistent on having. And I've always been a fan of the duels because I like seeing Ashlad and Thorfinn go at it. However, in this episode, it's really come to light how truly pointless these duels are, and the fact that after 10 years, Thorfinn has really learned nothing. For me, it was a bit of a wake-up call as well, since I also liked watching the duels. So for me, it was I maybe got I enjoyed watching them in the same way Thorfinn enjoyed partaking in them, even though it wasn't a joyous moment for him. He was doing it because he felt like he had to, whereas I was watching it because it was entertaining as all hell. However, it's a good wake-up call for Thorfinn as well as the audience when he says, "You've learned nothing. Not a thing. You're an idiot, and you're just like the rest of all these Vikings that I can't stand, and I happen to be one." So that kind of sucks. It's this deep look into a very deep character, and I feel like you could write an entire thesis. Somebody in college could very easily write an entire 10 to 20 page character study on Ashlad as a character. Ashlad, the untold story, right? An entire character piece on what makes his character tick, what makes him do the things he does, take in the people that he takes in. I don't even know where I'm going to begin talking about this. Again, the show leaves me speechless. It is. You would think it'd be really easy to talk about Vinland Saga because there's all so much going on. It's more difficult than you think because it's so vast and there's so many different areas that you could latch onto, and not even just the narrative, even visually speaking, what studio does in each episode. Like, even the friggin' character art looked different this week, and I didn't even know how to, not bad, just different to how it usually looks. And it's just a testament to how well this show is put together, that there's always something to talk about in every scene, that I could go on for several minutes talking about one thing and feel unbelievably let down that I missed out on several other things that I could gush about. I kind of love and hate this show at the same time. When I say I hate it, I just mean it's difficult for me to make videos on it, despite how much I love it, because I feel like I could talk about one specific thing for friggin' hours. In fact, I may even just do at the end of Vinland Saga, I am very tempted to just get other AniTubers or even just folks from the Discord together and just talk about Vinland Saga, because I feel like I could just go on about it. It's one of those shows this season where I could just tear it apart for hours and just talk about every little thing and just really dig deep into all the themes and the characters, and it's a lot. And it's funny too, because manga fans are probably thinking like, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg, my dude. Because that's the one thing Vinland Saga fans have been telling me is like, bro, you don't even know. Like, you really don't even know. And I'm excited to see what it is that I do not know yet. It's interesting too that it took Bjorn dying to get us here, to the point where Ashlad's like, Thorfinn, I'm so sick of you. Like, where he just finally caves and is like, you're never gonna get it, so I'm just gonna tell you. And I even wrote down in my notes, Ashlad tells Thorfinn how to kill someone you hate. And this leads into the deepest dive into Ashlad's backstory that we've gotten so far. I knew that Ashlad had a difficult upbringing, but I didn't think it was this bad. And it's not even like particularly grim. It's just the life that he's been forced to lead by Vikings. It perfectly explains and informs him as a character, because we finally get to understand why it is that he has such horrible disdain for Vikings, why he can't stand them so much. And it goes beyond just the Artorias thing, although that also plays into it. It's just what his life had become because of a Viking. That everything negative, at least to him, in his life came because a Viking was being a Viking. And that's where it all stems from. His father chose to take in this slave, and they had a kid, but he disregarded the slave and the kid, forced the kid to take care of the mom, who unfortunately was not fit to take care of Ashlad himself, and told him stories of Artorias and how one day Artorias would return from his promised land and all this, from the Undying Lands, and come and save the day and cure her and save them and all this. And Thorfinn and Ashlad just kind of came to grips with the fact that it's all bullshit, and it's not going to be a hero, it's not going to be a god, it's going to be a person who brings everyone together and saves the world and changes this world for the better. It's not going to be a god, not going to be some mystical hero, it's going to be a person. There's going to be one person who becomes this hero, this king who can unite everyone and stop the senseless brutality of the Vikings and like general savagery across the globe. There's only one person who can do it. And as far as Ashlad's concerned, right now, that person is Canute, or Canute, whatever you want to say. And he's pretty much made that decision. And I love that even the prince says to him, why not you? Because I had that thought too. Like, you are a descendant of Artorias. You clearly have a plan. Why not you? But Ashlad just responds with, I'm just a Viking. Can't be me. Has to be you. And just, it's really good stuff. And the long con that he played, I almost would have enjoyed seeing an entire episode set during the 2-year gap where Askeladd was being raised with his father. I would have loved to have seen an entire episode just about that, because his relationship with his dad is so friggin' fat. His relationship with his old man is fascinating, and is the total inverse of Thorfinn's relationship with his dad, Thor's. And it's wild too how these two technically met. Their first meeting is this fight to protect, like Askeladd jumps in the way to protect his mother from being stricken down by this total a-hole. And the fight itself, wit. I need to scream from the high heavens that Takehiko Abiro, who is the chief animation director, and and whoever it was who worked on this scene of Askeladd, young Askeladd, versus his old man, I need to buy you a beer one day. This was one of my favorite fights in the series. And it's so simple, it's such a simple fight, but the way it's animated, it is so fluid, and it moves with such grace, and it just moves differently to other fights we've seen thus far that have been more like action-packed and over the top and yada yada. It feels different. It just feels different from like your typical Viking fight. It feels more like Askeladd versus Thor's, if I'm totally honest. And I love that fight. To this day, that's one of my favorite fights in the series. And this is up there. Young Askeladd versus his dad is a dope fight, and it's a setup for a dope moment that comes later on, where Askeladd uses his brother's sword to kill his dad, which tricks the other brothers into thinking that it was the brothers whose sword he took, and they hang him. That is what we call in the business fucked up. And after all of that, after this long-ass story, which I loved, this long-ass story that Askeladd is telling Thorfinn, and Kenneth, technically. And I guess Thorkel was there too, and Bjorn, technically. After this long-ass story, Thorfinn doesn't get it. He just doesn't understand. And I sat there thinking, Thorfinn! What he's trying to say is that you get to kill somebody you hate, you get their guard down, you make them think that you care, and then you get them when they're least expecting it. That's what he's saying. These duels, they're not helping you because you run in like an idiot. You run in screaming and flailing and crying. Well, not crying, but sometimes crying. And that's why you're gonna lose every time. And that, you could tell, just shattered Thorfinn. And I've been a big Thorfinn advocate. I like the character, even though he gets on my nerves. That I feel like that's the point of the character, is that you're supposed to be like, don't you get it? Just screaming at him, like, don't you see? Don't you understand? And this episode, seeing Askeladd just drop the pretense and be like, hey, I should really thank Thor's one day for you, just so you know that. Like, and that breaks him because he doesn't get it. He never got it. Like, these duels, he was never gonna win. It was never gonna work that way. This whole vengeance quest, this whole thing, it was stupid. And it's this moment for Thorfinn where he realizes, like, oh, I'm an idiot. And it broke my heart to see my precious little idiot laying in the snow, because he's my precious little idiot, damn it. And yeah, see, here, like, the fact that the episode ends with Thorfinn just, his psyche completely shattered, and he just, it's not even like a scream, it's this like animalistic guttural growl cry thing. And I mean, friggin' kudos to Yuto Yamura for that. Like, that sound was so, I don't know, just painful. I could feel it in my heart, the sound that comes out of Thorfinn at the end of the episode. Because that's him coming to grips with the fact that all this hate, it's done him no good. And no good will come of this. For as long as he is holding on to this hate, and he's giving in to the rage and being a Viking, being a quote-unquote warrior, even though I can't even say warrior, because a true warrior, Thorfinn ain't even close. Not even close, not by a mile. And it sucked seeing him like that. Like, I felt bad seeing Thorfinn so broken. And seeing Askeladd just let the walls come down and just be like, this is why I am the way I am. This is why I'm trying to get you on the throne. This is why I'd lay everything down to see this plan through. Because this is who I am. And God damn it, Ashlad, you're the most fascinating damn character in this whole season, this whole year. Damn it. This show's so good it almost makes me mad. That's how good this show is. It's so good that I'm like, God damn! I can't believe they did it again! They got me to cry! Again! They got me to cheer! Again! Ah! Yukimura! You keep doing this! Once the season ends, I gotta read the manga up to where we are. I feel like maybe I should do that more often, is after a season of a show ends, I should catch up on the manga. I shouldn't say catch up on the manga. I should read up to that point in the manga after a season ends, because I would love to see the stuff that they didn't get to, because I feel like Wit has properly, they've given this story such weight, and the fact that there's people saying that the manga is still better, even though I feel like manga fans always say that the manga is better, but I'm curious. I'm very curious. Watashi kini narimasu. Like what pieces of the story did they leave behind? That doesn't mean tell me in the comments, by the way. That just means I'm curious to see for myself. So don't tell me, because you'll ruin it. But yeah, it's difficult for me to sum up my thoughts on this show beyond just I loved it. But I feel like that's not very fascinating to listen to, is it? This video must have been all over the place, and I apologize for that. But as you can tell, this one hit hard. It hit doubly hard because they had to open with Bjorn, and then they gave me Ashlad's backstory, which made me like just feel a lot of mixed emotions, and then they broke Thorfinn at the end of it, and I'm just like, cool, thanks, my heart. I'm gonna end the video here. If you couldn't tell, this week is absolutely getting an S tier. I don't even know why I give rankings anymore. I feel like every episode of every show I'm watching lately has gotten an S just because that's how good anime has been for me lately. Ugh, lots of emotions. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Before we go, as always, I have to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier. Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Sukochi, Tristan, and Verdun. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon. It is so appreciated. And if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But with all that said, everybody, I am going to take off. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.